My name is Mark Bucher, and in March of 2020, I was scared. And I was scared for a lot of things. But one thing that I was very scared of was my business, which is the restaurant business. And we were getting ready to look down the throat of a pretty dangerous and scary year, and we had a lot of decisions to make. They never taught you anything about managing a business through a pandemic. We never talked about it. I never read any case studies about it. There was no one I can call and ask. No mentor had been through this before. We were in uncharted waters, almost like Christopher Columbus. And we had some really hard and interesting decisions to make. And my story starts on March 6th. And on March 6th, before we even knew a phase 1 or a phase 2 or anything about a COVID pandemic, it really hadn't been on the shores yet. It was really an isolated problem. And it was in New York, it was in LA a little bit. And there was an announcement made on the news that if you were over the age of 70 or you were immune compromised, you should stay in your house and ride this out. And I immediately went into panic mode, not for me, but for my 82-year-old father, who is no longer alive, but had he been alive, this would have been a complete disaster for my younger sister and myself. You see, my father wasn't technologically literate. He didn't have an iPhone. He didn't have an email. He had never ordered in DoorDash or Uber Eats. He had never called for a meal delivery, and he would have been stuck. So my sister and I would have had to worry about how he's going to remain fed and get his medicines in this new normal. Without thinking about it, without even talking to my business partners, I put a tweet out that was heard around the world that simply said, if you know of somebody who's over the age of 70 or immune compromised and they live in the DC, Maryland, or Virginia area, email us their information and we will deliver them a hot meal from Medium Rare Restaurants, which is the restaurants that I own. 30,000 meals later, we really stepped into something. And it would have been easy to step out of, just deliver them for a little bit of time and say, we're done. Keep in mind, now I have no business. They have shut down restaurants, no inside seating in restaurants, to go and take out only. And I've got to save my business. I've got to make sure my staff, my family, my suppliers are all okay. You see, there's choices when adversity strikes you in business. When you work for a big company, there's lots of other people thinking about things, and you really worry about your paycheck to a certain extent. When you're an entrepreneur, you worry about it all. And I wanted to make sure that I save the day, solve the problem, and I sprung into action for my partners, for my staff, for my suppliers, and for our customers and society around us. You see, I decided to feed all these people. We decided to feed because my partners were part of this. Now, as we were delivering meals to the elderly, we realized they needed shampoos, nail polish remover, soap, laundry detergent, Q-tips, chapstick. So we started pulling all of that together for them as well. We became our own humanitarian rescue mission, so to speak. Well, we have no business. We have no sales coming in, or fractions of what we had before. Where's the money going to come from to support this? I couldn't stop. I couldn't let anyone down. So I made a decision to start a nonprofit. And it's called Feed the Fridge. But our nonprofit was formed to bring in donations to help us supply meals to those who need. I knew restaurants were in trouble. I knew there were a bunch of people that needed meals. So we raised money and we bought meals from restaurants to then bring to those who need. A moment came at the end of summer, early fall, when schools were deciding whether they're going to be in session or virtual. And I have school-age kids, and we were just concerned, where are we going to do things? What are we going to do? How are we going to do? Where are we going to do? But I knew there was a large percentage of families that sent kids to school that depended not just on their teachers for education, but on schools for nourishment for their kids. How are the kids going to get fed? I started calling people. And I started calling the District of Columbia Public Schools, Montgomery County, Maryland Public Schools, Northern Virginia Public Schools, and DC called me back first and said, we don't know what's going on with schools. But we know that our bigger problem is the kids that don't have meals don't have internet. So we're going to work to make all of our departments of park and rec centers internet hotspots where the kids can go do their classwork, do their homework. I said, great. Let me put refrigerators there and fill them with restaurant meals so the kids can eat. As I mentioned before, this became Feed the Fridge, which is really based on the community fridge model out in California and Portland and Seattle, where people would put fridges in flower shops and yoga shops and fill them with granola and water and fresh fruit, mostly for homeless. I wanted to fill them with meals for school kids. And we would buy the meals from restaurants who desperately need the business to stay alive. Just get through the year was my motto. If you can keep your nose above the waterline, you'll be able to survive this thing. And frankly, no one makes a meal better, more economical, and easier to transport than restaurants. See, we got good at this. COVID made restaurants really good at to-go food and delivery food. You can call any one of the delivery apps and have a hot restaurant meal at your front door in 45 minutes. Couldn't do that 5 years ago, 3 years ago. The packaging got better. The food offerings got better. We got really good because we had to. So I was able to do this. I called the Washington Nationals, where we have a stand in their ballpark. I said, I need to borrow some refrigerators. They said, sure. They gave us our first 6. We started installing them in Department of Parks and Rec centers, delivering them with meals. Now we have a real movement. Now we're solving a problem. We're getting some attention. We're using restaurants to solve a public problem, public-private partnerships. What else can we do? How else can we do it? So what started out in Parks and Rec centers is now in public schools, city halls, multiple jurisdictions, and soon to be multiple cities around the country, because this hunger problem we have. COVID taught us a few things. It's worse than it's ever been, or it's worse than we've ever known. Pick your poison. More money has been thrown at it than ever has before, and it's getting worse. The definition of doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result is insanity. So I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to drop in and drop out. I had to make sure that I could take food insecurity, which is a fancy way of saying hungry or starving. We've been through this. When I was growing up, they called it the dump. Now they call it the landfill. We're in the world of bottled water, and restaurants can provide meal security. What I mean by that is, there's going to be a fresh meal there every day. I'm not dropping in and dropping out. You have to wait in line, and the boxes are going to be gone until next time, which is unscheduled. Every day, we're going to fill the refrigerator with meals made from local restaurants. 33% protein, 33% starch or carbohydrate, 33% green vegetable. No white bread, no bologna, no chicken nuggets, no processed food, no ketchup as a vegetable, no squeezy sugary applesauce. Healthy, nutritious, fulfilling meals. You see, we did a lot of research and we asked a lot of questions, and we've all heard about obesity in America and childhood obesity. I think it's an unintended consequence of current public policy. Not a knock. Everyone's doing the best they can do. But when you feed kids highly processed, inexpensive food with sugar and salt and carbohydrate, in an hour they're hungry again. If school's not over, they grab the chips, they grab the soda, they keep going, they grab the candy bar, grab the Skittles. They get home, 4 o'clock, have another meal equivalent, 3 hours later have dinner. You're talking 4,000 or 5,000 calories a day for a kid that needs 3,500. You know what? 500 extra calories a day, it's a pound a week. It's 52 pounds a year of extra food, of extra body weight. That, I think, is why we've got an obesity problem and a real health problem down the road here unless we fix this. So by using my Feed the Fridge model, we hope to change this. Restaurants can do this better and faster than anybody. Our business model has changed for the next generation. And I think I solved it. Or we're convincing people that we've solved it. We hope to do more of this. We hope to be able to make more of an impact on those who worry about food. We are also transitioning to meal kits, where we're going to, once a week, we're going to teach people how to make a meal from those ingredients like you see in the other meal kits that are advertised on TV. But we're going to give them the pots and pans and the seasonings to keep at home and build a pantry and have instructions and have not just to cook what's in the box, repurpose the leftovers, go use SNAP benefits at a grocery store to buy better and buy smarter, save and preserve food so they can then prepare regular routine meals for their families. You see, 86% of those living below the poverty line don't have a can opener. So when you see all those brown box food giveaways with cans in it, ask yourself, how are they going to open it? Can they make a meal out of what's in that box? I want people to think more about what we do and how we do it. Teach people how to make meals, give them food, how to prepare healthy, nutritious meals, teach nutrition. And then one step at a time, we can actually start solving the problem that we face as a country. Because, you know, in Asia, there's no food insecurity. Most populous continent, they don't have a problem because food's everywhere. We waste enough food in America to solve our problem too. I'm going to make sure that we get better, faster, and smarter in solving the problem. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.